Hi, everyone. So we've got a rose between two Amy's. How's about that?
I'm more of a thorn, I think. But
a Paul between two Amy's. So I'm going to get started right away because we've got a very short time to talk about a really big topic and a really, really important topic too. So we've spent a lot of time today talking about making digital experiences accessible for disabled people and shifting left. But actually, we need to shift much further left than we potentially are, because there are swathes of people around the world who are unable to make their way to the front door of our digital experiences because they lack either a suitable device, data, skills, confidence, and it's a very complex area that needs a lot of attention, especially with the digitization of society. So, and I looked up some statistics and, the one that jumped out at me was that 7 million disabled people in the UK are affected by digital exclusion. So it's no small number and something that we all should be thinking about. So I've got two wonderful guests with me here today. Paul is joining us as a digitally included person who makes great use of digital. And, I really wanted Paul to come along and talk to us about his role and his life, but also to really imagine what life would be like without digital and what you would miss out on, Paul, and, the additional hurdles that might introduce.
Yeah, thanks, Amy. So I've given this a lot of thought, and I think if I weren't able to use any of the technology, be that mainstream or assistive, that I use on a daily basis, excuse me, I'm going to apologise for my voice, I would be that person who is absolutely on the wrong side of the social model of disability, i.e. I absolutely need sort of assistive tech and mainstream tech to literally function. So, from getting up in the morning, checking alarms, streaming music, checking fitness, stuff like that. Even to things like booking an Uber, right? Or, doing an online shop, reading sort of food information, getting images described to me, or like using AI. Wouldn't be able to do any of that in my personal life without sort of, some assistive technology, whether that's screen reader, braille, or whatever. And, that's without the plethora of apps that I use on a daily basis at work. So screen reader, all the Microsoft stuff, sort of Mac apps, etc. I would be absolutely excluded and completely in the dark and just unable to function. And that's no exaggeration. That is literally how it would be.
And it's actually probably felt quite frightening considering it as well. Yeah. And tell us about your role, because you work at Deloitte, don't you? How would that have come about, or what would be the barriers there?
Well, I mean, if I didn't have any of the technology, I simply wouldn't be employed. So I wouldn't be able to work with the internal and external clients that I work with. Wouldn't be able to communicate with my team, other colleagues. I just wouldn't wouldn't be a functioning member of society. Yeah.
Thank you, and thanks for sharing that. It's just really so part of AbilityNet's core mission is to support individuals to get online, build their confidence, and take those crucial steps to have that independence and freedom to participate fully and on an equal footing with everybody else.
Sorry, can I just say it's one thing that people don't actually realise is the amount of work that goes into making a piece of tech accessible, and it's something that I'm actually really thankful for every day.
Yeah. Absolutely. And the lack of understanding about how you can adapt technology to make it accessible.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So AbilityNet have always sort of funded that activity through some of our commercial activities. But as the digital divide is growing, we're getting so much demand for our services in that area. And we really want to be able to do much more to close that digital divide. And so we have got a long and fantastic relationship with BT Group. So we've worked with BT Group over the years in many different iterations. But we came into contact with Amy on that topic of digital inclusion. So what inspired BT Group, Amy, to kick off this work?
So BT Group's purpose is to connect for good, and that extends beyond our customer base, but everybody across the UK and also in India as well, because we have a large workforce based out there. I focus on the UK piece. And we're very aware that devices and connectivity do play a large role. But what we wanted to focus on was the skills piece, helping everybody to develop the skills and the confidence to do what they need to do to thrive in the online world and to stay safe while doing so.
Brilliant stuff. So tell us a little bit about the Connect for Good initiative.
Yes, so working with AbilityNet has been fantastic. In our first year, we set out to support 5,000 over 65-year-olds and to do so through small group or one-to-one sessions and repeated sessions as well, so that people have the option to consolidate their learning and their confidence, which I think is really, really important. And we've built on that. This year, we're now in our second year of the partnership. And I think we did well. We cut our teeth on that, but we've got greater aspirations now. So we want to reach more people and also expand that to adults with disabilities as well, because we recognise that that's such a huge population that's currently underserved and we want to support. And I think our colleagues in the consumer part of the business are quite have good recognition of the fact, and they have a Here For You portal and ability for customers to kind of share whatever additional support they need. But we wanted to do further, go further, do more, and not just focus on our customer base, but expand it out across the UK.
And as well as the numbers, some of the stories that have come through from the individuals that we've supported. And I know our trainers, I had a lovely chat with them all recently about, the experience of the work that they're doing. And, without exception, they said it doesn't feel like a job. It just feels amazing, that impact, and people coming in filled with concerns around, the different barriers or feeling that digital's not for them, and then being able to be empowered and, what a difference that's making in their lives.
Absolutely. I think fear and the feeling of being overwhelmed by the possibilities can put so many people off. So providing that safe space and, perhaps a peer group to support people through that learning journey can be quite transformative.
Most definitely. And, in terms of encouraging people, I heard some celebrities got involved.
Yes, absolutely. So we've worked with Sir Geoff Hurst and with Moira Stewart recently, which are both fantastic advocates because they are of the generation that we are, looking to support and can share their own experiences of learning to use tech. So Sir Geoff was talking about now he loves to use it for his travel apps and, his train tickets. And Moira sharing about how she was nearly scammed out of quite a lot of money. So they bring that personal aspect and hopefully, help us spread the word, because it's not always a case of build it and they will come. We do want to go and share and talk about the fantastic work that we're doing and get more people to reach out and take, benefit from the services.
Most definitely. And so, there's a lot of debate about where the responsibility should sit for digital inclusion, and the government's talking up a good game about digital being the answer to all of our concerns, and actually that's really encouraging, and I hope that digital inclusion is being spoken about. We've been invited to contribute to lots of round tables about these things. Whether that how that translates into action is yet to be seen, but I think it's brilliant that corporates are stepping forward to do this, and again, we've talked a lot about business benefits as well as doing the right thing, and I think it's absolutely playing that again, you know, it makes good sense for everybody. So with that in mind, Amy, what advice would you give to other corporates who can see that they have a responsibility to customers or their communities? What should they do?
I think one thing that we definitely see the benefit of it from is working in partnership. So finding organisations, whether it's charities or, you know, AbilityNet or other not-for-profits, those kinds of organisations that are experts in that field, and help, you know, ask them how they can help you solve the problem and meet those challenges. I think, partnership working is critical, really, because we don't, we're not the experts, but actually there are plenty of experts here, you know, in the room and beyond, that can really shine a light on subjects and just, you know, elevate what you can do.
Most definitely. And Paul, having sort of listened to what Amy's had to say and thinking about, you know, your own sort of corporate networks, what would you, have you got any thoughts you'd like to add around, you know, what might be the art of the possible? And
I think I just really love everybody to like embrace accessibility and inclusion, you know, because they're, you know, part of the core fabric of society, right? And, you know, we're not going to get true equality, sort of technology, you know, technical equality until sort of people actually do it. So it's not a scary subject. It's really not as scary as people think it is. So just embrace it. You know, you might even have some fun along the way. I mean, just look at everybody in the room, right? I mean, massive networks of people. Come and be part of it.
Absolutely. Well, brilliant stuff. I think that is our time up, actually. So it was short and sweet, but thank you so much to Paul and to Amy for your contributions. And Amy, you know, that the partnership is just fantastic. It's really allowing us to get so much done moving towards that mission. So thank you.